Hey everybody, it is David Sienna, your growth coach. If you're watching this video right now, congratulations. You just downloaded a playbook that 51 broker owner slash leaders used last quarter to recruit just over 2,000 producing agents. Now, I figured that I'd make this accompanying video to ensure that you actually execute it. Let's get rocking. Here's a great question to get us started right now. Why 2026? Why now? What is the opportunity? Well, looking at corded statistics, just over 40% of agents this year either left the industry or made a move to other companies. Now, the insane part about that 40% statistic was that nearly 35% of those agents were capping agents or producing agents doing just over 3.4 million in volume. The question that I want you to reflect on right now is how many agents did you actually meet with that already made a move if you look at your agent migration report? How many of those agents reached out to you saying that they wanted to grow their business, saying that they wanted to make a move? How many of those agents did you even reach out to? How many of those agents even knew your name? At the end of the day, I guarantee you that you have a fantastic value proposition and you understand and you know that you could make a benefit in agents' lives. But at the end of the day, if they don't know you, does it even matter? You need to be omnipresent. You need to have a plan around being known. Because at the end of the day, there's a lot of fantastic broker owners out there with a fantastic value proposition that don't recruit. In fact, the average broker leader, broker owner only recruited two market share slash two capping agents this year. Let's change that in 2026 because we know this is a shifting market. We know that agents are moving. The question is now, are they moving to you? And are you going to use a plan that's actually working? Or are you going to listen to a business plan that somebody 20, 25 years ago was using to be successful? This landscape has changed. Align yourself with the business plan that is actively recruiting, producing agents. I also want to leave you with a extremely quick reframe before we get into the business plan and before we get tactical. Right? Knowing the stats that we know about the amount of producing agents that made moves or left the industry in general, we need to make a reframe the fact that, oh, we need to add more agents to our brokerage. I constantly am hearing that. We need to gross 10. We need to gross X amount of agents per month, right? You've already lost the game. If your perception right now is that you need an agent in order to be successful, you've already lost. The reframe that you need to have is that your value proposition is so strong, at the end of the day, those agents need you. If you truly have the best value proposition, you can help agents to where they need to go. You're doing them a disservice by not going through this recruiting process. These agents need you more than you need them. Collectively, between my one-on-one clients and my bootcamp clients, there's two groups of leaders. They're the leaders that have no specific plan. They have no significance that's driving. They have nobody to impact in their world. And those individuals will often give very ego-driven goals. They want to recruit a billion in volume just to say that they did it. There's really nothing substantial behind that. In the second group, however, the individuals that are constantly hitting their goals, they are very clear on their very specific goals, how many agents they need to gross that are producing. They understand the significance, what that's going to do for them, their families, the impact they're going to make in their communities, etc. And they understand from a significance aspect on a scale of 1 to 10 how committed they are, what they're willing to sacrifice in order to get there. Once you figure out these numbers, that very specific number, that's going to help you find out your math. Now, if we're digging into the math aspect right now, of how many leads you need, how many appointments you need to take to book, etc., I know once you find out that very specific number, for the case of today, let's assume that you need to sign 10 a month. Per month. In order to sign 10 a month, my average client right now is closing roughly 25% or 1 out of 4 appointments with producing agents. This math is not for newbies. This is for producing agents doing over 3 million in volume annually. If I know that I need to sign 10 a month and my closing rate is 25%, you guessed it. We need to go on 40 appointments. 40 held. Now, obviously, not every recruiting appointment shows up. If your attendance rate is anything less than 75 to 80%, you have a gap in your business. Talk to me, reach out to me. You should be getting at least a 75 to an 80% attendance rate. Let's assume the latter. Let's assume that in order to hold 40, you need to book 50. The question really now becomes, in order to book 50, where are we going to get our leads from? And that's exactly what we're going to dig into right now on this video. So the PDF that you now currently have access to, you might see something called GPS. And if you haven't heard of a GPS before, that is okay. That is a framework for a one-page business plan. As you can see, the G stands for goal. For example, my G, when we were doing my GPS, when I was a leader in an office, my goal is to recruit 87 agents in a quarter, right? The goal, the P aspect of it is priorities. What priorities on their own can help me get to where I need to go? If you look at the priorities, the two big ones that we focus on are both booking appointments through prospecting and marketing, and the second one is through consulting specifically, right? Your numbers are going to be a little bit different than mine when I was a leader, but let's break it down. So as we can see behind, this is the GPS that I leveraged, right? My goal, my guaranteed goal was to gross 87 agents, and the unit goal was 750 units that quarter specifically. The priorities were on prospecting, on attending appointments. The second was on gaining referrals through consulting. And the third aspect was specifically from sales events. The most important priority that I'm going to dig on with you right now is that first one, attending 4 appointments a day. Because like we mentioned, if we don't have the opportunity to go on appointments, how can we have the opportunity to close? You've heard it before. If you don't have appointments, you don't have a business. The first thing we're going to focus on is prospecting and how we're actually going to be guaranteeing. And yes, you can guarantee your results. How are we going to guarantee that you're going to go on 4 appointments a day? Well, I know that a surefire way to win are the phones. Now, there's 2 types of individuals that cold call. They're the individuals that pick up the phone and try to book appointments with absolutely anybody. And if you want to close 25% of your appointments, that's not going to be you. A lot of leaders that I speak with, they simply pick up the phone and say, hey, so-and-so, it's David Sienna calling from XYZ office, XYZ team. I want to sit down with you to learn more about you, learn more about your business. What did you actually learn on the phones from that individual? Probably not too much. You don't know if they're in pain, and you don't even know if they're willing to make a move. How disrespectful is that to your own time? The analogy that I love to make is that individuals and leaders that take appointments with agents without knowing where they're at, they're basically going on dates with happily married individuals. And that's really the analogy I want to keep you with. If you were somebody single looking to get married, would you ever go on a date with somebody who's happily married? The only way that you can actually know if you're going on a date with somebody who's single versus married is if you start asking good questions. Luckily for you, we're already in business together. You already have these scripts, knowledge, and framing on how to take somebody through a conversation. That's the first thing. The second thing that we can dig into is looking at Courted Analytics. Using their AI software, you can now predictably pick up the phone and call individuals that are more apt to taking appointments with you and making moves. You just saved hours by having a fantastic script and by using Courted Analytics. Congratulations. Now, I understand if you're doing everything right. Like, I know some of my clients are closing on every other conversation, they're booking an appointment. However, let's just be conservative right now. Let's assume that in order for you to go ahead, you may only close 25% of your phone calls. Your calls might only be 1 out of 4. I understand if my goal, so in order for me to attend 4 appointments daily, I need to book 5. Very simple math. On a 1 out of 4 conversion rate, that means that I gotta have 20 conversations a day conservatively using a script. Those are the phones. That's a guaranteed way for me to book 5. Now, is it enough? Knowing that 40% of agents either made a move or left the industry, and some of you have thousands and thousands of agents on your board, is it possible for you to pick up the phone and have these conversations at will? Well, you can commit to having a certain amount, obviously, but can you get a hold of the low-hanging fruit? Absolutely everybody that you possibly can, and the answer is no. The second biggest strategy that we dig into as well is we do look at marketing. We look at emails. We look at texting. And I'm bringing up emails and texting right now because we understand, and I don't have enough time in this video to break this down. So if you're one of my clients, reach out to me and we'll break this. Or if you've been in a boot camp, you already know this. If you're not sending out 1 to 3 emails per week, if you're not sending out a text message at least every month to your entire MLS, you are not getting a hold of everybody and you are not booking as much appointments as you should be, right? I understand, and my brain goes to Isaac Ishak, right? The guy sent out 1 email to a market of 1,100 agents, had nearly 30 responses, and recruited 4 producing agents in 72 hours from 1 email. Could he have cold called all 1,100 agents in a short amount of time to actually get people to raise their hands to say that they wanted to grow? You can, for sure, get your results through the phones, but it's not necessarily, it's not that you'll be getting every single available lead that's actually motivated and making a move. Sure, I can cold call, but who's to say that that agent didn't already move? The importance of marketing is crucial to your success. Reach out to me and we can put a plan together for your marketing if you haven't already. The second big priority that we dig into, which is also a surefire way to close agents, was through consulting. Now, based on my numbers, when I was running an office, I understood that I could generate roughly 100 referrals from 120 agent consults quarter after quarter. The question that I have for you, and some of you I guarantee are thinking, I meet with my agents over that number and I'm not getting anything. You are, but you don't have the sauce. You don't have the juice to get those referrals. And it's not your fault either. We've been taught through our companies that you should be a relationship builder. When you call your agents, you should just check in and be a pharmacist, or check in and be a firefighter and put out fires. Pharmacist refers to when you hear an agent's problem, you go right to consulting, you go right to fixing whatever their issue is, right? If you aren't using a proven challenger model, and if you aren't challenging your agents and helping them level up, you're not going to get any referrals. Well, why not? Think about it. Every other brokerage that you're competing with, every other leader, every other manager that you're competing with right now is also nice. They're also relationship builders. If Joe Blow, who's an agent at XYZ Realty, has a great relationship with their broker, and you're your agent that you're consulting over here, what are they going to say to the other agent? Oh yeah, my guy's nice. That other agent, Joe Blow, is also going to say, yeah, my guy's nice too. It doesn't matter. We need to go from being relationship builders to true consultants and true challengers. If you're already one of my clients, this is the first thing that we dig into, right? I coach a large group out in California. Brian Leverett and myself were just up there a couple months back, and there was two groups of team leaders. They're the individuals that were getting a ton of referrals, and they're the individuals that weren't. The only difference, the relationship builder versus the true consultant and true challenger. You pick who you want to be. Now, the third priority that we are going to dig into, and it may not make any sense unless we're already in business together, but it is sales, events, and competitions. Now, why? Well, if we're already in business together, you understand that there's two types of oceans out there. There's a red ocean with a ton of competition, a ton of sharks, right? No unique value propositions anymore. Everybody's selling, oh, we're just better. We have better technology, better splits, better this, better that. And it's a race to the bottom. On the other hand, we've already built out a blue ocean, right? Red ocean signifies sharks in the water. The race is to the bottom. The blue ocean signifies lots of opportunity. We understand if we're in business together, we already have a plan built out. We have a value proposition so good that we can guarantee results and we can guarantee certainty. When we look at running sales events and competitions overall, that is built into our value proposition already. If we know that we meet with an agent that's doing 5 million in volume and they want to get to 8 million, we know that we can guarantee that. One of the things we can do to motivate the guaranteed with our systems and models we've already put in place are sales and our events. That's where I'm going to leave it because it's not going to make sense and I need about a couple hours to break it down and implement it. And if we're already in business together, you already know what you got to know. Now, you have two options. Either you can take this back, you can use it with somebody who doesn't understand it, like a coach that used to recruit 25 years ago. You can do it with your leadership team, or you can use the second option. You can plug into a boot camp or some one-on-ones, and you can do it with a leader whose 51 clients recruited just over 2,000 producing agents. I don't know which one sounds better to you, but the choice is yours. Success leaves clues, and you're the average of the 5 to 10 people that you spend the most time with. Choose the winner. God bless you.